Hare Krishna. Welcome all devotees to the Gita Daily session. So thanks for joining the session. So today we'll be discussing Bhagavad Gita Sloka number 27 from chapter number 3. So we'll take the blessings of the Lord, Jagannath Baldev Subhadramaya Sudarshan Gaurnitai, Lakshmi Narasimhadev and Panchatattva. By their blessings, we all can understand the spiritual topics. We'll have said the prayers. Om Adnanatimidandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिन् इति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधरा श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So we'll dedicate a session to His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, founder of International Society for Krishna Consciousness, by whose mercy we are able to understand Bhagavad Gita and apply it in our life in a simple and practical way. So let's thank Srila Prabhupada. So today's sloka is 3.27. We'll recite the sloka. You can repeat after me. You can remain muted. प्रकृते क्रियमाणानि गुणैः कर्माणि सर्वशः अहङ्कारविमूढात्मा कर्ताहमिति मन्यते. Repetition. प्रकृते क्रियमाणानि गुणैः कर्माणि सर्वशः अहङ्कारविमूढात्मा कर्ताहमिति मन्यते. Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The spirit soul, bewildered by the influence of false ego, thinks himself the doer of activities that are actually carried out by the three modes of material nature. So we'll see the word to word meaning. Prakriti, of material nature. Kriyamanani, being done. Gunai, by the modes. Karmani, activities. Sarvashaha, all kinds of. Ahankara vimuda, bewildered by false ego. Atma, the spirit soul. Karta, doer. Aham, I. Iti, thus. Manyade, he thinks. So we'll again read the translation. The spirit soul, bewildered by the influence of false ego, thinks himself the doer of activities that are in actuality carried out by the three modes of material nature. So we are continuing the discussion of Bhagavad Gita. Just to recap, so we were discussing the topic of karma, in the last couple of sessions. So in today's session, the Lord is introducing a very important aspect, right? So in the picture you can see, actually there are two people who are fighting, and we can see that there are three uh, entities, or three controllers who are controlling the two people. So basically, like it's like a puppet show. The jiva is actually controlled by the three modes. So basically here what actually is explained is what should be the right consciousness of the jiva, right, when we perform activities. So generally what happens, ahankara vimudatma, right, the false ego. So we have discussed earlier, actually the jiva is the spirit soul, the atma, which is completely pure. But when we come to the material world, right, though the jiva is a spiritual energy, it's a part and parcel of Krishna. It is similar in quality to the Lord, but limited in quantity, but it's pure. But when it comes to the material world, the jiva is covered by the covering of maya, right? So there's a curtain which is put across the intelligence of the jiva. So the soul or the jiva, he forgets his original spiritual identity, and he thinks that he is the body, right? He associates with the body, but the body is temporary. It's just like a dress, or just like an actor takes different roles, in different movies. Similarly, the jiva takes on different bodies, and he performs different activities. So because of the influence of maya, the jiva actually thinks that he is the body, right? He forgets his original position as the spirit soul, and also he forgets his original relationship with Krishna, right? So this is the false ego, right? The ego means the ego is the identity of the jiva, and the right identity is that he is the spirit soul. But then when he comes under material nature, he has a false ego. He wrongly thinks that he is the body. right? So because the jiva is bewildered because of the false ego, he considers everything, connected with the body as his possessions, the wealth, house, money, and his relatives, his children, his parents. So he thinks they're all his relatives, etc. But this relationship is temporary. The real person who is actor doesn't have any relationship with these people. No, these characters. The characters are temporary, but then it keeps changing. So, so what actually? So when a person is bewildered by false ego, he thinks that he actually is alone is a doer. So to some extent, he is a doer, no, because without like he initiating an activity, nothing can be done. So Jiva, like let's say I'm a person, I have a desire that no, I want to do something, like I want to drink something. Let's say I want to drink milk. So I have to go, get buy the milk, boil it, put sugar, and eat it, drink it. So I'm doing the activities. But then this is only partial understanding. So if you think that you are the only doer, then actually you are in the wrong consciousness. Because what Krishna says is that there are many things which are acting behind the scenes. Behind the curtain, there are three different entities, distinct entities. So what are the three distinct entities? So one is the Jiva himself. One second. Yeah. So the three. What are the three entities? Let's have a look. So the three entities are, one is the Jiva himself, which is the soul, right? So Jiva is actually the primary, person here in this context, who actually has desires, and the second person is the Paramatma. So we have seen a few sessions back. So in every body, there is a Jivatma and the Paramatma, right? So Paramatma is an Amsha of the Supreme Lord, which actually is monitoring all the activities of the Jiva, right? The Paramatma accompanies the Jiva throughout his journey in the material world, right from the time he comes to the material world till he returns back to the spiritual world. The Paramatma is accompanying as a friend. So it is called like an Anumanta and Upadrishta. So Paramatma has two things. Anumanta means it permits the Jiva to do activities, or it sanctions it, and Upadrishta is monitoring the activities of Jiva. So Paramatma keeps recording the Jiva's desire, across lifetimes, and he also monitors what activities the Jiva is doing. So accordingly, the Paramatma knows everything, what the Jiva is, desiring, etc., and what Jiva is doing. But without the sanction of Paramatma, the Jiva cannot act. Okay, so Jiva, like even if we have to do anything, like I want to lift my hand, also the Paramatma has to have sanction. But generally, the Paramatma sanctions every activity of the Jivatma. But also, it also sees that whether the Jiva is entitled for that activity. The Jiva, just by desire, Jiva may not be able to achieve. Jiva may desire that I want to become a king, but then he should have also the karma, right? Necessary karmic balance to fulfill that. So it may note, Paramatma notes the desire, but it may be achieved after many lifetimes. But then necessarily Paramatma will sanction and the Jivatma desires. And the third thing is the Prakriti. So the Prakriti is a material nature, right? Which actually mainly consists of the three modes, which are Sattva Guna, Rajoguna, and Tamoguna. So every activity in the material world is a combination of, is because of the three modes influence. So the Prakriti is the media why with through which the Jiva actually can fulfill his desire. So the Prakriti has to provide the resources. First is that, see how the Prakriti influences the Jiva based on his desire, right? And his past karma. Based on the past karma, the Jiva has a various vasanas or tendencies which he has acquired in many lifetimes. So based on the mode which is influencing him. So when the Jivatma associate with the mode of goodness, like for example, he associate with people who are nice people, good, no, who are in the mode of goodness, then his consciousness becomes influenced by the mode of goodness, and the Jiva's activities will be in that mode. He tries to do good activities, right? So this way, the Prakriti or the modes influence the Jivatma, and when he is associating with people who are passionate, then actually he also gets that mode. He gets influenced by that mode. He eats food which are in the mode of passion. For example, you eat full food with like onion or garlic, so that can instigate or trigger the mode of passion. And then the jiva comes under the mode of passion. So similarly, the mode of ignorance. So the Prakriti actually influences Jivatma, right? So thus actually in summary, there are three important aspects by which activities are performed. One is, first is the Jivatma is having some desire. So the desire may be fulfilled immediately or in some later point of time, based on whether he is already eligible or he has the karma for it. So the Paramatma, which is knowing all the past activities of Jiva and his desire, he sanctions the Jivatma's desire based on the eligibility, right? And the Prakriti is actually influencing the Jiva continuously through his three modes, mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. So this cycle of activities actually results in the various performance of activities. So when a jiva is under ignorance, or he is covered by maya, he thinks that he is the body, right? So currently he has taken one role, and he thinks that I am that body, and everything associated with the body is his possessions, or his relations. And under this bewilderment, the jiva thinks he is the doer. I am doing everything. I am doing this. I am doing that, etc. But in reality, the fact is that the things is much beyond that, right? So jivatma also has need of support of prakriti, the three modes, and the paramatma to execute his activities. So paramatma also sees the activities of other jiva. So a jiva, like a person, is not working independently in the material world, right? He is associated with so many people, his friends, relatives, his enemies, etc., so-called enemies. So when jivatma wants to do something, right, the paramatma will also see that, for example, the jivatma, the person wants to harm somebody, he wants to beat somebody or kill somebody, etc. He may have decided to do that, but then the paramatma will sanction it only if the other soul, other person involved is also subject to that particular karmic reaction, right? So what is told is that the karmic cycle is very strong, right? So if a person kills another person in this life, so in some future life, the reverse can happen. The person who is killed will get an opportunity to kill the person who killed him. But then, as we discussed, the laws of karma and the cycle of karma is extremely complex. We cannot analyze and exactly decide how it happens, because it is mentioned the great persons who are sages and learned cannot also fully understand the karma. But then, nevertheless, the karmic reaction works, right? And so when the jiva desires something, Paramatma will consider the holistic perspective, right? Whether he is eligible for the karma, when the person who actually is on the other side, on the receiving side, he is also eligible to receive it. When everything falls in place, then actually it is sanctioned. So that's why sometimes we see some person, like somebody, some important personalities, they have many attempts against them to kill, right? There were many murder attempts to them, and that still they survive, all of them, because actually they are not destined at that point of time, right? But sometimes we see that first attempt only, a murder, like somebody is able to murder and assassinate, a person, a political person, etc. So, but nevertheless, it's very complex to understand, right? And sometimes there is a group karma kind of thing, no? The collective karma is there. So, set of people, like for example, a calamity happened, natural calamity, war, or a plane crash. So then actually the collective karma is happening. So somehow or other, the material nature arranges such that all the people who are supposed to go through that karma, now they come together. So it's very complex, but then nevertheless, if we should have faith, in the scriptures, which actually gives this information. Yeah. So basically, what can we do after understanding this? No. So one is that, see, the jiva has a free will, right? So that's why it is able to desire, and then the series of action and reaction is happening. So we have discussed earlier. So our idea of understanding this is that, we should actually know, we should not think that I am the only doer. We should have a detachment to the activities that we do. Of course, we can desire, and no, but then there are many other factors. So we cannot take the complete credit of what we are doing. That is one thing. And what can we do? What are we supposed to do after understanding this, right? So basically, we need to understand that the jiva has two fundamental choices in this world, material world. So one is that it can either surrender to Maya, material energy, or it can surrender to Krishna, who is the supreme controller. So the Paramatma is the Amsha of the Lord, but ultimately Krishna is the supreme controller of everything, right? So he has, so the material nature works under the direction of Krishna. It is mentioned Maya Adhyakshena Prakriti Suyadaya Saracharam. So though the Lord is not directly every day, he is not coming and seeing what and each and every person does through his Amsha, like Paramatma, right? And through the Prakriti and various demigods, no, Devatas. The material nature is set up, and it is like, you can think like it's a huge organization, no, which has a proper structure and a set of processes which are defined. So if the organization functions as per the processes, everything works automatically, kind of, right? So similarly, everything is set up in the material nature, right? And don't we don't should not think that, no, some things are happening by coincidence. No, there is no Lord. No, everything is set up, and the material nature works as per the process which is set up. So we saw that the material nature, is created by the Lord for the enjoyment of the jiva, because the jiva wants to enjoy independent of the Lord. The Lord has created the material nature, but the material nature is also designed in such a way that the jiva, sooner or later, he becomes frustrated. and then he may again start thinking, no, why am I suffering in this material world? Is there a way to get out of it? And when he is fortunate and he gets association of a pure devotee of the Lord, then he gets the spiritual knowledge, right? And when he gets the spiritual knowledge, he actually surrenders to the Lord, understanding that the Lord is the supreme. No? All the Maya, whatever things which are happening here, is ultimately happening under the will of the Lord. And when somebody takes shelter of the Lord, then he becomes free from all this entanglement. So as long as the jiva is trying to enjoy and in only thinking about his sense gratification, then he is subject to the jurisdiction of Maya, and all these things come into the picture. The prakriti, the modes, and he gets entangled. He does activity, and the activity entangles him. Like we saw about karma, vikarma, and akarma, right? So karma is the activities as per the scriptures which are sanctioned. When he does karma, this is also the good karma. He gets punya. When he does activities against the scriptural injunction, he gets entangled. He gets papa. So both punya and papa both binds the jiva, because when you do punya, the jiva has to take more birth to enjoy the results, right? And when he does papa, he has to take birth to suffer it. And we also saw that we cannot neutralize the punya and papa separately. He has to enjoy the good, and he has to suffer the bad, right? So only activity which is freeing is the akarma. So akarma is that activity which actually is the spiritual activity, which is devotional service to the Lord. So when you do any activity which is connected to the Krishna, right? For example, it can be chanting of the holy names, japa, or doing kirtan, right? So or eating prasadam, right? Associating with devotees, right? So we do any spiritual activity, then actually that activity doesn't bind us, but on the contrary, it frees us from the cycle of birth and death, right? It removes the spiritual activity can destroy the karmic reactions. So whatever punya or paba you have accumulated over so many lifetimes, when we do devotional activity, spiritual activity, those activities, the karmic reactions are burned, they are destroyed. So spiritual activity is that activity which frees us. So understanding the nature, how things are working, we should actually take shelter of the Lord. To the extent we take shelter of the Lord, to that extent the Lord actually reciprocates, and he frees us from the cycle. The cycle is an infinite cycle of birth and death. Right? The karmic reactions, the desires, the more the desires the jiva has, the more he has to act in the future. And then then he has to, when he acts, actually he gets the reaction, and then he creates more and more reaction. So this way the cycle is it's a vicious cycle. It's very difficult to get out, right? And then the jiva gets entangled in the material world. So but understanding that the Lord is the supreme ultimate source of everything, and he is also very much eager to take us back to the spiritual world. So as soon as the jiva develops a little desire, that actually he wants to serve the Lord, then the Lord actually facilitates. Again, the Paramatma is observing, and he sends a suitable spiritual master, the Guru, or he sends, he gives association of devotees, so that the jiva's journey back home starts. So all that we have to do is that we have to just desire, change our desire, or change our desire, so that understanding the futility of the material nature, right, and futility of the activities which we perform on the bodily platform, we should start looking at the real person, which is the soul, right, and slowly dovetail our activities to the Lord. So one thing we need to understand is that it doesn't mean that we have to give up our responsibilities. No, so let's say I am a householder, I am a grasta, I have my family, I have a work job, right? I have my parents, I have to take care of my parents, I have to take care of my children, wife. So when you understand the topic from a holistic perspective, it doesn't mean that tomorrow I abandon everything, no, and then I go to a secluded place and leave. No, so we can dovetail. Our acharyas, they have analyzed all the scriptures, and also they have analyzed the jiva, like the how the jiva lives in the world. So they have given us a process by which we can continue. Hare Krishna devotees, I think there was a technical issue. So the Zoom, I think there was a network issue. So sorry for that. So we'll continue the discussion. So what we were discussing is that, yeah, we were discussing about like what can we do, like after understanding how the material world is working, and how the Lord is ultimate controller. So what actually we can practically do? We were discussing about that. So accordingly, so we were discussing that we should dovetail our activities. So we also discussed that it is not necessary to give up our activities, right? So we can dovetail our activities. We can do the same activity. So a person who is a devotee of the Lord, right? Acharyas are given a way right? We can be happy in our material life also, but at the same time make slow progress in spiritual life. So every activity, so only all that we have to do is that, so instead of now keeping ourselves at the center of all the activities, we have to keep the Lord as a center and try to do all our activities as a service to the Lord, right? So we have to take care of our children. So we think that we understand it's a responsibility, and try to make the give the spiritual knowledge to all the people, like to our children, educate them in spiritual knowledge so that they also can go back to the Lord, right? Similarly, our parents, we should take care. So keep Krishna in the center. We have to cook food and eat. No, so we have to cook the food and eat. So basically, we have to offer to the Lord and make it as prasadam. So this way, though we do the material activities, we can spiritualize all the activities and free from the karmic reactions. So, so that is the thing. So just to summarize today's topic, so basically, there are two perspectives, right? One perspective where one person think that I am the only doer. So when we think that I am only doer, then you also think that I am the enjoyer, right? And the result of that, what will happen? We become proud, right? And then we get into cycle. We want more and more credit. We try to take credit of the activity. So this way we get bound. But when we change the perspective, understand that I am not the only doer, right? I have a very limited like what you call contribution in it. Then the enjoying mentality will go away, right? Instead of pride, we become humble, and then we become conscious of the Lord, right? We become Krishna conscious. We understand that Krishna is ultimate benefactor of our activities. So when we change our consciousness in that way, then we have the feeling of gratitude, right? And then we also want to share the results what we achieve. So this is actually a more positive way of how the perspective is, just changing, shifting from I am the doer to I am I am only a partial doer, right? So today, yeah. So what we have understood is that we can look at a small analogy how the things are working. I already spoke about it a little bit. So just like a puppet show is happening, and a puppeteer is controlling the puppets, right? Through strings he control the action of the puppet. But externally looking, we think that okay, the person is no, the puppets are working independently, but actually there is a controller. So similarly, the jiva, right, actually may think when it is illusion or control illusion by the material conception, right, thinking that I am the body, he thinks that I am doing everything, but actually behind the scenes there are the three modes, right, of the material nature, which is ultimately controlled by the supreme lord, right, and the paramatma. So that is the bigger picture we have to understand, right? So let's summarize what are the key lessons we learned today. How can we apply it in our life? So in a personal life, when we understand that I am not the doer, then actually we can become detached from the pride, right? When we think that I am the doer, when we become proud, right? So we should give up the mentality of pride. Understand that the supreme lord is ultimate doer, that I am just an instrument. So this should be the right understanding. So try to think always that I am an instrument in the hands of the Lord, right? When you surrender to the Krishna, then we become an instrument in his hand. So this will completely change our perspective, and automatically our anxiety will reduce. When we think that I am the doer, I am controller, then we become anxious about the results, right? But when we subject to the will of the Lord, then we become free of anxiety. Yeah, so the same thing can apply in a professional life also. Think that I must control everything. This mentality we should give up actually, and think that no, I'm just an instrument. And when we have conflicts, we can understand that we can become more detached whenever there are conflicts. Just like we are acting under the modes, similarly the other people, which we are interacting, our colleagues, etc. They are also, we have to understand that they are also acting under the three modes. So we should not think that we should not have a negative feeling or no personal like grudge against people, because we have to understand everybody is under the influence of the three modes, right? And accordingly they are working, right? Yeah. So in a family life, how can we apply same thing? We have always have a tendency to blame others, like in family members also, right? Every day we have some kind of misunderstandings. So we have to look from a higher perspective that okay, the Lord actually is ultimate controller, right? Everybody, even others people, right? Like whoever has become your family member, whether your children, your parents, your spouse, all have come together, right, temporarily, because of the karmic reactions, right? Because of our karma, we have put in the new setup of a set of relatives, etc. And they are also struggling under the modes of nature. So try to help them, right? How can we help them? By keeping the Lord in the center of the family, right? When Krishna is the center, then everybody tries to serve together. No, it is mentioned that a family who serves together, they stay together. So try to keep the Lord in the center. Try to spiritualize our activity in the family life, right? So like start, executing spiritual practices like chanting of the holy name, offering the food to the Lord. So when we do all these activities, the harmonies will be established. So with that, I think we come to the end of today's session. So are there any questions? Otherwise, if somebody wants to leave, they can leave. If somebody has a question, they can unmute and ask. Or if any questions are there, they can put in the chat also. If there are no questions, then we can end the session today here. So tomorrow we'll again continue our session. So thanks all of you for joining daily. So Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.